Hello everyone, Sundrak here. So this is more of a personal thought video. I just want to comment on some of the interesting things that I noticed regarding the newest ARCHON quest. Now of course, with that said, this is 100% a spoiler video. If you have not done the ARCHON quest, then you should skip this video. So there are three things I noticed exactly that is very interesting. The first one is Amikos actually made a comment about Baal. It was only one sentence, so I'll talk about that later. The second one is if you put Baal in the point of view where if you assume she is acting at the best intention of the people of Inazuma, so if she is maximizing the value of the people of Inazuma instead of maximizing herself, then from the point of view, if you assume that, then Vision Hunt Decree, the three people whose vision are lost, actually draws quite a bit of parallel to Baal. And thirdly is the fact that I believe Baal held back while fighting the Traveler. Now of course we don't know the exact reason she held back. She might just didn't want to kill us, or the other reason was because she need to somehow put us into that statue so she can't have a dead person in the statue. We don't know exactly the reason, but I believe Baal did held back during the final fight. So let's go through them one by one. The first one, Amikos actually made a comment about Baal. She made exactly the scene we saw her just before the group from the swordsman teaching class left. I forgot what exactly called, the clan left. Amikos actually made a comment about Baal. She was basically saying how essentially her comment was talking about that how this person kind of resembles her friend, who she jokingly said the friend did not achieve much or something along those lines. So it's pretty clear that she is talking about Baal here, because otherwise there wouldn't really be a need to introduce this new person who is Amikos' friend and who won't ever show up later in the game. So this kind of establishes the relationship between Amikos and Baal either as sort of acquaintances or friends, or the other way I can think about it is maybe Amikos is an older adaptee and Baal recently became Archon, because not recently, but when Baal became Archon, Amikos had no interest, so she is kind of Baal's elderly in the case where she can joke about Baal and Baal has to treat her with respect. So either way, they do have some sort of personal relationship in a sense. Either they are acquaintances or friends, or the third case, as I've explained, maybe Amikos is the older Inazuma version of adaptee, whereas Baal is sort of, in Amikos' mind, the newly became the Electro Archon, and she can joke with the younger kids, basically, in this sense. The second point I want to touch on is the parallel between the three vision bearers, what they were doing before their vision was taken away, and Baal's case. And I believe this also symbolizes the fact that Baal's vision will be taken away by the end of the Inazuma quest, just like what happened with this three. Now of course in Baal's case, it's not her vision, it's her gnosis. So the first person we talked to was in Kanto village. I forgot his name exactly, but what he was doing was he was helping the village to fend off the village from treasure hoarders and things like that. That was his major achievement. This can draw very similar parallel to Baal, because in Baal's case, even though Inazuma is kind of in a depressed and closing state right now, but at least we do have to all agree on the fact that she is keeping anyone who doesn't want it to be in Inazuma off Inazuma. Other than Beidou, of course, because otherwise we can't get here. But other than that, any of the major threats, there are no major threats has harmed Inazuma within the foreseeable past. So with that said, I believe that qualifies the parallel within the first two. The second person we talked to was a samurai who was using his own money to act like emergency disaster relief fund, where he buys rice and then gives them to the nearby villagers. Now this can also draw a parallel from Baal, because you probably don't see the parallel right now, but after I talk about the fact that he is being locked down by these villagers, as if he is putting the rice into his own pocket, even though the rice actually came out of his personal pocket. So I believe this is what is happening with Inazuma. Now of course we have to start from the point of view, if we're assuming that Baal is doing it for the favor of the people of Inazuma and not for her own favor. And if that is the case, then Vision Hunt degree might be something that Bao is doing similar to what Zhongli did in Liyue and Venti did in Mondstadt. Now, of course, all the Archons are doing their own things because they have completely different personalities. Venti just went incognito. Zhongli straight up handed away his gnosis. Bao here might be actually want to use her role as the Archon to protect the people of Inazuma, and instead she is taking away all the vision, which she sees as probably a potential threat not to her rule to Inazuma, but to the people of Inazuma. Now, of course, I talked about this in my last lore video, but personally I believe that there must be some form of caveat that's put on visions, because if we look at the two other ways of channeling elements, delusion has a very significant caveat, as in body drain. Like basically child was pretty much unable to move after entering the second state with his delusion. And the third way, actually most people probably don't know this, is the way Semitrals and people without vision, back in the days when vision did not exist, people used to use the power of the elements. It's through these sort of special scrolls that has the instructions written on them. But the problem is anyone who reads those scrolls are able to use the elements in the future, but they will go crazy. The similar thing happened with Semitrals, which is why they're all sort of crazy when you kind of go fight them. They're also very simple-minded, like the Helitrolls. And the other thing is any human who has been in contact with these scrolls, have read them in detail and learn how to use the power of the elements without channeling through a vision, has gone crazy. So with that said, I believe there has to be some sort of physical setback that puts vision on, so while you're using a vision, so that it seems balanced in this case. And the main reason Bao might be collecting vision is because even though most vision bearers, including us of course, even though we're not a vision bearer, does not know of these setbacks. However, it makes sense for her, in the mind of Inazuma people, to take everyone in the Inazuma, to take visions away from them so that they would be safe in the future. Essentially, it's basically what happens when you're still in teenage and your parents does something forcefully without telling you that it's good for you, but they know it's good for you. It's sort of that situation, if that makes sense. And finally, the third person, we can draw a parallel similar to Bao. The third person, of course, was the clan of martial arts school or something like that. And he was trying to become the best swordsman in all of Inazuma or in the world. And during the process, he kind of gone crazy after the vision is taken away from him, because he kind of lost himself in the process. And that was basically Amikos' comment as well. And that's also Amikos' comment on Bao, because Amikos said this is basically what happened to my dumb friend over there. So this draws, of course, Amikos did the parallel drawing here, but this clearly draws the parallel between this person and Bao. Now, regarding Bao going crazy, I don't think that it is true that Bao is completely going crazy or anything, but I do believe that her internal pursuit of a more finer swordsmanship is putting some sort of caveat on her either physical body or her mental state, because we can see that she does have a very significant shift in both mood and personality and facial expression in the two different states. When we first started fighting her, she seems to be in a very pumped up mood when we took Toma's vision back from her, and as soon as she enters the barrier with us, then during that phase we can't really see her face. But one clear thing to note is that when she exits the barrier after the traveler is beating down to the ground, her eye color changes from glowing purple into sort of a darker purple, and also her entire mood goes from more of a bloodthirsty sort of facial expression to more of a calm facial expression. And the fact that they decided to let us go in the end without really, because I mean, if they wanted to, they could probably have locked down the entire city and searched through. But the reason they let us go in the end, I believe this means that she had gone through either a mood change or at least some sort of personal two different states of mind, if that makes sense, during the final fight with the traveler. Finally, the third point I want to mention is the fact that Bao was probably not going to kill us even if we did not move there. Now, I have my reasons. First of all, The last time Baal used that method before killing Kazuha's friend, of course the famous time before that Baal used the method, the island got cut in half and the entire area was affected by electro. It's basically this island here. As you can see, it's a very clean cut through. So I believe even though her power might have weakened like Venti and Zhongli's case throughout the years, but I still don't think the MC's body is strong enough to tank one hit like that. The second reason being that she let us get away, and on top of that, she did not really kill us because we did tank an entire hit from her. But afterwards, the MC just ran away pretty much just fine. He was unconscious for probably about a minute or two during the cutscene, but afterwards, after Toma carried him out, afterwards everything seems fine. Even when he joined the rebellion and was fighting, everything seemed fine. So that was my guess on either Baal wanted to put a live person in the statue so that we will have to be kept alive, or Baal did not want to kill us in the first place. Either way, whatever her reason is, she ended up not wanting to kill us during that fight, and that's what happened, at least to my explanation. And finally, one bonus point. The rebellion army, there might be some sort of problem with the rebellion army other than what you see on the surface, because Kokomi had done something pretty horrible in that island. Now, I won't spoil the world quest for you guys, but essentially in the island where Baal cut the giant serpent in half, where basically most of the serpents are. The serpent was left on the island, and because the serpent is similar to Osiel in the sense that he was a god slash archon of sorts before, he got destroyed. So his leftovers, or in Zhongli's case, his malice kind of formed around the island, which causes this island to be rainy at all times and sundering. Now, of course, there is a whole side quest you do to unlock the island and then turn it back into a more calm state and everything like that. I won't try to spoil it. However, one of the items you does interact with in the side quest, those pillars that you probably have seen walking around, pillars that you can rotate around, those stuff were actually supposed to be put there so that everything keeps in check, in the sense that the pillars are there to suppress the malice. So basically the pillars serve as the same purpose as Xiao did in Liyue. However, the pillars are actually destroyed by Kokomi's forces. Personally, by her personal forces sent from Watatsumi Island. And that is what's a little bit suspicious about Kokomi. Now, of course, it could just have been a simple reason that they were trying to open it up so that the malice floods everywhere so that the actual Raiden Shogun's army will retreat from here. That's my explanation right now, at least. However, that does make for the fact that the people of Watatsumi Island are suffering because of the fact that rebellions opened up these seals that are already put in place. So that is all the comments I have about the latest information regarding Inazuma, both main quest wise and a bonus of one side quest wise. Hopefully that did not spoil anything for you guys. And that's all the information I have for you today. Please let me know what you think in the comments. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing. I normally do guides videos and lore videos. Thank you very much and have a nice day.